So good news for Transformer fans that missed out on some previous Transformer product that was very difficult to get during the tough times of 2020 and the Big V. Much like we reported a couple of days ago with the War for Cybertron Siege Commander Class Jetfire and how people are going to be getting a second chance to pick him up, despite the fact that the secondary market was crazy for him at one point. Now he's at a more current MSRP via Hasbro and reissues or re-releases. So we have the same thing going on here. And this one does not surprise me at all because this one, much more than even Jetfire, happened right in the middle of the Big V. And that is our Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise Commander Class Skylynx. Now, this guy originally had an MSRP of $84.99, and he started to kind of show up on the shelves in July of 2020 at some retailers. And the reason why I emphasize some is because he came out during the literal peak of the big freak out and lockdowns that was happening with the Big V. Now, like I said, I say some retailers because places like Walmart and Target and beyond, a lot of them were not ordering new toy products around this time. They kind of thought it was the end of the world. They didn't know what the financial situation was going to be. They were not going to invest in big, expensive products, let alone big, expensive toy products when people were going crazy over toilet paper. That was probably the better investment for them in a lot of ways for their retail stocking. Not to mention at the time, when the lockdowns were happening, and this obviously varied from location to location, but I know it did happen in both the United States and my home here in Canada, a lot of places that weren't deemed essential services were asked to not be open during the lockdown, and places like Walmart and Target were able to be open because they were deemed essential services because they had groceries. As a result, a lot of the toy sections and non-essential stuff were cordoned out and taped up, and you weren't allowed to go into them. Of course, that didn't stop a lot of toy collectors. Old habits die hard, and they would sneak into those sections. They would take photos, and they would show, hey, there's actually a Skylynx in here. And then they'd go to self-checkout and get out of there with their big boy of a space shuttle / flying dino / Lynx Puma, whatever you want to call it. So some people were able to pick them up in retail, in Targets and Walmarts back in July of 2020, but stock was slim. People weren't exactly finding them plentifully. As it stands, a lot of people just started to just buy online. That's just kind of became the thing in 2020. Everything went online, and people were buying online from Amazon and other online retailers. But that also led to another problem, which was Amazon also started putting shipping labels directly on the boxes of Skylynx. So a lot of mint and box collectors, and of course those who buy to resell and scalp, were not happy with these labels being put on the box because it damages the product and has their address on it, and they're banking on reselling it to some guy on eBay. So there was a lot of little issues here and there, and as a result, combined with the fact that people just didn't have money, it was a crazy time. There was just a lot of uncertainty in the world, and the last thing that people wanted to concern themselves with, and at least at that time, was an $84.99 expensive Transformer product. A lot of people were in different frames of mind back then. Combined with the fact that then when things started to level out and things started to get a little more normal, Skylynx didn't show up in Ollie's or TJ Maxx or any of those closeout stores. What ended up happening was a majority of that leftover inventory that didn't sell and didn't ship out from Hasbro ended up getting sent to China. And then China did some kind of crazy deal and everything. So there's a holiday in China on November 11th called Singles Day. It's Singles Day because it's 11/11, and the number 1 represents to be singles. So a bunch of ones together means a bunch of single people together. Long story short, it's because in China, single people aren't married, so they have money, so they could be more crazy with their income. And Singles Day is kind of their big Black Friday kind of thing. So Hasbro's AliExpress web store, as well as one of their store locations in the actual physical world, just had this crazy deal with Skylynx that if you picked up Skylynx, you got this exclusive like moon base stand and Omega Supreme TCG trading card and collector coin, and the first 100 people that pre-ordered it would get it. And then afterwards, on November 11th itself, they got a whole bunch extras of them. So there was even more than 100 because initially it sold out on the website, but then apparently there was more in person. We don't have the exact numbers, but there was a lot of them. There was a lot. The photos that I saw back then when we did the original report, there was a lot of them. So a lot of that inventory went to China, and that was that. That's why we never saw them in closeout. Skylynx kind of just slinked his way into the secondary market afterwards on eBay and everything, and people were asking 110, 150, 120, 130 bucks for a $84.99 item. And that was that. Well, today you have your opportunity. Hasbro is now shipping these out to different online retailers. You have your second chance to pick it up. The current price on this is also in reflection to the current Commander class MSRP of $89.99. So it's $5 more than what it was before, but it's also what the current inflation MSRP is today for the Commander class. These are scheduled to ship out in February of 2023, but they may show up sooner. This tends to happen. Right now, it's only available on partner websites in relation to Hasbro Pulse, so like the online web stores that you could name. Hasbro Pulse themselves direct do not have it, but stay tuned. It'll probably be showing up on their website shortly, much like they did with Jetfire. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, currently, again, like the secondary market, it's about $100 to $120 that people were asking in the scalping secondary market for Skylynx. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I'm noticing that there's some people that have been sitting on these buy it nows for almost years now at this point. They're starting to lower their prices because of this recent news. I just saw 2 listings as of this recording of people putting up for $75 for a mint in box Skylynx with free shipping. So it's actually cheaper than what is being asked from these websites and everything like that, especially if you have to pay for shipping too. So what I would suggest is, just as a little bit of financial advice, check out your options online. Some people might get desperate and try to sell it lower than what Hasbro and these online stores are asking because they bought theirs and sat on it and was hoping to cash in, and now they're in a situation. So you might be able to maybe even work something out that will work cheaper than even what is online, let alone if we're talking taxes and everything else. So keep that in mind. That's another scenario that I want you guys to consider. But yeah, hey, it's Skylynx, really great figure, very nice. Does all the modes that it classically did, the combined Puma/Lynx and Dino mode, the shuttle mode, everything like that. It even has that launcher mode there that also attaches with everything to make a really cool, almost kind of zone base. Now that we had the old zone base suggestion before, now we have the new stuff along with Galaxy Shuttle. Like just a lot of cool things. I heavily suggest if you have not picked him up, definitely consider it because he's a really good representation of that character. The Voyager one, too, that we got in Combiner Wars was pretty awesome, but this one is much more bigger, beefier, and pretty cool. Check it out. Again, it's slightly more expensive than what it was before, but if you kind of look around, you might actually be able to find it even cheaper now because everyone's trying to make their money and everyone's trying to find their way to get their money now that they made this investment. Let me know what you think, guys. Are you going to get in on this?